No CJ at all. Jeez.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can. Now we're live. Yeah, no CJ at all. So CJ is welcome everyone to the filter in. AU's here. AU's here. We're waiting for Mike. No CJ. I know the chat is going to be fucking furious. The chat loves CJ, but CJ's in DC for a work thing, and his internet is not reliable enough.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is he not going to be here, he is. Wait a minute, I think I might have the wrong camera. Do I? No. Not only is he not going to be here, he can't produce it afterwards. So I have to do that too. Yeah.
I wish I could relate to CJ's internet issues, but couldn't be me.
I did send to Mike, I think, right? Mike always takes a second or two. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Yeah, of course.
Mike had an in-person work, so he was unsure. Oh, there he is. Oh, I have to put him in, right? No CJ. Oh shit! I don't know where the.
There we go.
There we go.
What up?
Hang on, I don't really know where the.
Should I be like in the middle? This is a very narrow.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Is this the one?
That's better, yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
Beautiful.
I have to find the song. Is it in brand? Hold on. Fucking CJ.
Are we live or are we?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay.
There we go. All right. There we go. I found it. Fucking CJ. Oh, I have work. Oh, internet's not good. All right. You ready? You ready?
Let's do it.
It's just weird. No, see, I was freaking out beforehand because I haven't done anything after the pod in so long. I haven't put it on the website. I haven't put it online since we switched to Spotify video. I'm just texting him question after question. I told him I feel like when you go to drive somewhere and Waze isn't working, even though you've driven there 100 times before, you don't remember how to get there. All right. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. Is brought to you by MortgageCS. Become a MortgageCS Ricky VIP by going to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of The Process, and Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. Drown yourself in your sorrows with the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe at statesidevodka.com. On the show today, boy, the Sixers are really just going to do their best to fucking blow this one. They're just fucking digging right in. And they're like, oh, you remember the Hawks series? Well, we're going to make it even worse. Just even fucking worse. We're going to make it. All right. Without any further ado, hold on, let me find the thing. Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy and another guy that is AU and Mike, but no CJ. Welcome, Mike Levin, to the Sixers Might Just Blow It pod.
I mean, that just... Hi,
It was
AU. It's good. It's good to see your face, and
Good
I'm
to see you
excited
too,
to hear what
Mike.
you have to say. I'm very annoyed. I'm very annoyed. That was a horrible game. That was a disgusting travesty of a game. The effort was dog shit. Embiid played like dog shit. Maxey has to be like begged to turn the corner again and again and again. Harden started to look like he was going to like take over early in the first quarter and then just like faded away. Tobias keeps consistently doing the right things, but like it's not enough as the fourth option. the bench looked like dog shit. Matisse played like ass. Like, buddy, if you're gonna miss 2 games because of your like personal choices, you really got to bring it the other couple games. And he just fucking is, and he playing like fucking asshole. Everybody, I don't even blame this on Doc. I would love to blame it on Doc. I'll blame the B-ball Paul thing on Doc, obviously. I'll obviously think like if he had more time to establish chemistry, it would look better.
If you're listening, Mike had a great mini grin. If you're just listening and not watching, Mike talking about B-ball Paul with Doc, it just brought a smile to your face.
I'll feel good about like saying Doc made the wrong choice for months and months, and like now we're reaping the problems with that choice. And I'm a little bit worried that they're going to play DeAndre Jordan next game, which will be even worse. This is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I think there's obviously still plenty of time to figure it out. But like when I said Raptors in 7 before the series, it was because of shit like this. Is that like they are never, maybe like one game here and there, a stretch here and there, but they are never consistently the tougher team. Never, almost never in the modern era. They're just never. They never play harder. They never play with a more like assertiveness and just like getting to loose balls. They can't allow the other team to get to every single loose ball. They just can't do it. And it's just an embarrassing display in a game where you just got embarrassed in Toronto. Fine, played like shit. There's one game in that's going to happen. You're not going to sweep everybody. That's fine. I get it. But like to come home and the crowd being so fucking into this game and begging the team to make a run. Begging them. They're down 9 like 16 times in a row, and the crowd just fucking willing them to do anything at all, and the team just like making careless plays and getting beat for like an immediate lob to like the most obvious play in the world. It's like it was an absolute travesty, and everyone should be embarrassed. This was an awful game. I'm not saying they're not going to win the series, but like this is my concern. Like generally about this team is that they just don't have enough juice, and shots weren't falling tonight, and they just like looked like they just didn't give a fuck. And there's too many of that. There's fucking too often that happens. And against a team like Toronto that tries their ass off, just like an embarrassing display. They should be embarrassed. Everyone should be embarrassed.
I think one thing that we all have to come to a realization about this series is that we are one Precious Achiuwa free throw away from this series being 3-2 Toronto. We are one free throw away. And I know you can do that with any series. You can do this, that, or the other. And the Boston and the Brooklyn series, every game was, close when you look at the scores at the end. But we are one free throw away from Toronto leading this series, from a series that we all really felt like it was in hand. But, like that game 3 could have gone either way. It could have gone either way. And first of all, James Harden looks like he wants to be on vacation already. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. He didn't even make a move with the ball for most of the second half. But to everything that you said, and I hate to do this, but it's true, and I'm going to go to AU right after this. But the thing that you said about them never being the team that outworks the other team, and the team that never seems to want it that little bit more and get to like teams like this are. Obviously, they are personnel and they're all their own people, but they're a reflection of their leader. And the last 2 games of this series, whether it be for his hand or like, and I said in the last pod, I was worried that the hand had gotten into his head a little bit. And he did actually look better as far as like playing, but eventually it has to come back. There's a different coach, there's different players, there's all this, but there's the same best player, and they have to follow him. And at a certain point, he's just got to decide, like I'm doing this or I'm not doing this. And if you're going to play through the injury and you're going to do this, then like it can't be sad guy Joel. It can't, you know what I mean? Like you have to take over, and you have to make the other players on your team embarrassed for not going for those loose balls because they're on the court with you, right? They have to feel it. And this is, before this series started, I thought we had 2 like separate opinions on the non-Spike and Mike opinions. One from Mike O'Connor and one from AU. And AU sort of like begging to believe in Joel, and Mike saying, "Don't worry, he's got it." And we've had a little of both so far in this series. AU, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, this is what made Game 3 so meaningful, right? Like it wasn't. I mean, obviously it was him hitting the shot, which he never hits before, has never hit before against any team, but particularly not the Raptors. But what made it so important it wasn't just the shot; it was that they hung tough the entire game that led up to the shot, and that even though they had to kind of fight from behind for a lot of it, They still kind of maintained through the fourth quarter, through overtime. They got stops. They did what they had to do. And then when it got to be money time, Joel cashed. And, that was an unbelievable triumph for him, for the Sixers, for just the sort of character of this team that they never really showed that before. They never really won that kind of game before in a big spot in the playoffs like this. So we thought we had turned that corner. And then game 4, Joel comes out and he's flat. And it's I mean, you and I have gone back and forth on this fight because, I was talking about how Joel always kind of plays up his injuries, and you almost can't tell how much it's actually affecting him because he does that thing that, like they said, that Jim Brown used to do, where like he always acts injured at the end of the play, so that you never know how injured he actually is when he pops back up. But in this case, it's got to be the hand, because he like milliseconds into game 4, having just hit the biggest shot of his life, won the biggest game of his life, he looked not there. He looked emotionally flat. He looked like there was no chest puffing to it, and that was unbelievable considering what we already know of Embiid and what he should have been coming off of in that game 3. And that's I thought maybe he the hand just sort of got, like you say, got in his head, maybe made him feel like, oh, it's always something. He had to go compromise. He was sort of doubting himself a little bit. But okay, get through game 4, come back home. Couple games off in the middle, and I thought for sure he'd come out with the fire in game 5. And I don't want to say that he didn't totally do that. Because,
he didn't.
Well, he didn't at first, at least, but he had moments. He built up some nice momentum at the end of the first. He had moments in the second and third, but it wasn't from the jump. You really thought it would be the jump. And then that third quarter stretch where he was just getting roasted by Precious Achiuwa over and over again. It's inexplicable as a result of the hand injury, because the hand injury shouldn't make your feet slower on defense. Yeah. But it has to be something like this is all just weighing on him now. And now the sort of combined pressure of, he's not 100%. He still has to carry this team. Oh, now they're down, they were up 3-0. Now they're up 3-1. Now they might be going down 3-2 or down 3-2. It's still up 3-2 technically. But it seems like all of that is having that sort of cumulative impact on him where it's just affecting the entire game. And the really wild thing to me is if you kind of zoom out on this, and this is not a fair comparison to make, but I'm going to make it anyway. If you kind of zoom out on this and say, okay, both the Raptors and the Sixers had one All-Star this year. Sixers had Joel Embiid. Raptors had Fred VanVleet. Obviously not the same caliber of player. But if you told us going into this series that the Raptors All-Star would be out, just completely taken off the board, non-factor, and our one All-Star would be compromised. Not totally compromised, but he would have a ding, so something that's going to kind of stay with him throughout the series. Would you believe that those two injuries would cause the Raptors to find their identity and us to completely lose ours? Like, it's insane.
Well, I think that they're right. The way that VanVleet has been playing, and he's had a couple stretches where he hits some big threes, but the way he's been playing the series, and since his knee injury, like, he's not 100% even close. So I think they're a better team with him off the floor right now, the version of VanVleet that he is now, and it allows them to have like the full Raptors, 6'5" to 6'9" array of length on everything. I mean, like, how often, and this is everybody, but, I agree that it's like mostly Embiid's fault and mostly Harden's fault. And I'm, Maxey as well, who's, it's unfortunate that we're asking so much of a kid that young, but like, he's there now. And like, we gave him praise for being this guy. And like, he needs to continue to be the guy he was and not like this timid version of him. But like, how often are you seeing like offensive possessions where they're holding the ball 30 feet from the basket with a defender like in their face denying them, and they're just like on their heels and trying to get, there's no flow whatsoever. Doc was trying to get them to push in transition, which in the first half like worked a little bit, but there was just no flow. It looked like fucking shit the whole time. They left so many points on the table just because they're being sloppy. Like too many guys just like a step slow to make the pass, a step slow to get the steal, a step slow to get the offensive rebound. Like, they just didn't want it enough, and they weren't crisp. And they gave up so many easy looks off just like laziness and ball watching on defense. Just so many easy looks. Like, sometimes Siakam's going to hit shots. If you force him into a tough, like, contested 20-foot step back, that happens. Like, that happens. And I'm fine with that. That's not what I'm mad about. Like, he's a good player. He's going to hit those shots. But like, they can't get so many easy fucking looks off of no actions, when on the other end, like, we can't even get into an action to try to do anything. Like, it was just a really embarrassing display. And his hands are definitely affecting him. But like you said, like, he can't, I've never seen him get destroyed by one guy like he was getting by Achua. Like he was biting on bullshit. He was just getting beat, like just regular beat. I've never seen him in his career. I've never seen him look like, oh, he can't stop this one guy. And like, this is an archetype that he's played against before. The like fast guy hustling that's athletic and muscular. Like he's worked himself into a decent shooter, but you don't have to like, he's not Cat from three. Like it was embarrassing to see him like that. And I need them to like summon some, I'm not like Will guy, you know, I'm not like, they just got to want it more guy. I'm never that. Like, I think that is a lot of times overused. But the way that they're playing right now, they're just a step slow everywhere. And they're a step not as crisp. And the shots that were going in early in the series are a little more contested. And we knew that they were going to start missing some shots. But I thought that the offense looked good enough that they could still, like, they could get to the line. They could make something happen. Maxi's turning the corner. He's getting to the rim, all that stuff. And, like, that's all just gone away. They shot 10 of 37 from three. And B gets to the line 6 times tonight. It was an embarrassing display from everybody. And I do absolutely, Joel is the consistent factor on this team from all of those teams. And like, we're getting to the point where we can just say like, oh, this Sixers team lacks toughness and consistency because Joel lacks toughness and consistency, like too often in these kinds of games.
AU, I know you had something before you do. I have to do this. It's funny. Our AU was asking me because several of our sponsors begged us on Twitter not to do a pod. Ethan from DraftKings says don't do a pod.
It's good when the people who are paying you to do a podcast are actively petitioning you to just not show up to work that day.
Kornblau
Had
said
I known
no
that, I would have obliged. That would not be a problem for me. Just stomp around my house upset and not have to fucking verbalize this, and then people later on tell me what I said.
Kornblau said no pod. Briggs Auction said no pod. MortgageCS dropped in and said maybe we should talk about the Eagles draft. We got a great email about MortgageCS, who we've talked about a lot, and we've started to get emails about. This came from Mike. I just closed on my first house yesterday. I want to share my amazing experience with MortgageCS. My girlfriend and I started seriously looking for houses the same week that MortgageCS started advertising with you guys. Of course, I did some research on the company like anyone would, but the Ricky endorsement made it very easy to trust them with the biggest purchase of our lives. From the start, I can confirm everything said about them on the pod is 110% accurate. It sounds cliche, but they really were there every step of the way. And as first-time home buyers, we never felt like we were in the dark. It was truly a pleasure to work with Ben, Alec, and the entire team. Shout out to Ethan, who gave me a call just to talk Sixers because he knew I was a Ricky listener. That's Ethan at MortgageCS. MortgageCS, we're the first place MortgageCS has ever advertised because they don't spend their money on advertising. They spend their money on their people, and they do the thing where if they don't spend all that money on advertising, they can provide you better service because they're not busy trying to make that money back. MortgageCS stands for Mortgage Concierge Service. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. Mortgagecs.com/Ricky. What MortgageCS is they are a mortgage broker. So what they do is that, as opposed to a lender, so they're not giving you the money. They are going to other places to find which one can give you the money at the best rate. And it is good to have someone you can trust there because you can't always. Some mortgage brokers have deals with specific lenders and you don't even know about it, right? Some mortgage brokers take your information and sell it to lenders and give it to them. That's why you get emails and phone calls, all that. Not MortgageCS. MortgageCS is there with you every step of the way. You can call or text their CEO, Ben, at any time. Anytime, 267-391-7425, 267-391-7425. And even if you don't get your mortgage with MortgageCS, they're happy if they just teach you something about what you're doing when you get a mortgage. Even if you want to do some debt consolidation, refinancing, anything. Not just about the best rate, it's about having a good partner. MortgageCS.com/Ricky to schedule a phone consultation or call or text their CEO, Ben, 267-391-7425. Anytime, just mention he came from the Ricky. Check out their Google reviews, over 200 5-star reviews, MortgageCS.com/Ricky or 267-391-7425. You were saying something as Mike was on his soliloquy.
Bums.
There.
Yeah.
Bums.
It's like 6 points ago at this point, but I'll try to do it a little quickly. It's all right.
Welcome to the Mike pod. Welcome to
No. Look, I was going long first. It's okay. But just the thing is, they had stuff that worked in this game, and it didn't work once, and they never did it again. Like they had good results with Harden and Embiid pick and roll. I think it was like early in the second, or maybe it's the end of the first. I don't remember, but they scored. It was the end of the first. Like they got Embiid a couple free throws and then an easy dunk, and we didn't see it again that half, I don't think, or at least not nearly as much as I would have expected. I feel like they stopped at one time, and then we just went away from it. Same thing, I think, early in the third when, I'm not going to describe this play exactly correctly, but there was some sort of play where, they got Maxey kind of in motion. They got him running, maybe sprung off like some Danny interference, and then he kind of turned the corner as Embiid set a pick for him, and he scored 2 easy ones in a row at the bucket. And then they also had Danny as the kind of release valve there. So Embiid found him a couple times, and he got open looks out of it. Then he missed an open look, and they never ran it again. The same on defense. They had some good results out of zone, and then Pascal hits a 17-foot pull-up that you think you're okay with him taking, and then they never ran it again. And it's like these opportunities were not really presenting themselves that often for the Sixers. When they found stuff that worked, I don't understand why they never went back to it afterwards. And I think part of it is probably that so much of it was built around Embiid, and that he just couldn't he had to have a couple plays a quarter, a couple plays per stretch where it just didn't involve him at all. And anytime that was the case, the offense was just not there. It was just invisible.
Let me simplify it for a bit. The Toronto Raptors came out there and are playing like one guard the entire game, and he's really like a guard small forward. That's Gary Trent. The Sixers have James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, and somehow the Raptors offense looks more coherent than the Sixers offense does. Like, that's just fucking like unacceptable. And the combination of what Mike was talking about with the desire to compete, which you can just see. And you could see it as the game goes on. And the worst thing about this series is that halfway through game 4, even though the Sixers were playing shitty, the Raptors sort of looked like they wanted to go home. They didn't quite buy into it. Like, they weren't quite there. But now they're there. So now the thing that we're scared about with the double teams and them scrambling around on defense and fast breaking, now they smell blood, right? So it's a combination of that and just like the two guards on this team, and the one of them who's getting paid $40 million fucking dollars and is supposed to be the guy. I'm like caught with Harden because I don't think he is capable of doing what we want him to do. Like, I just don't think he's physically capable. But I also want to beat him up because if you're not that guy, not physically, obviously, if you're not that guy, it takes a lot of fucking balls to push your way out of a team onto another team. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not that guy anymore, you probably sort of start to lose that right to do that. And for him to show up here, basically unable to get a layup at any time, and really like acting like he's like Ben with some missed threes sometimes in the offense. Do you know what I mean? Like, he gets the ball in the half court, passes it off to someone else, and just sort of stands around and waits for other people to do things. I'm just like, I couldn't be more disappointed in Harden and Embiid at this point. Maxey's fucking 21 years old. I wish, but if it comes down to Tyrese Maxey being your primary source of offense, you're not going to win a championship. You're not going to win a championship if your primary source of offense on the perimeter is 21 years old. You're just not.
No, for sure. I mean, I think that it's like, if he missed shots, it's one thing. Sometimes he missed shots if he got blocked, if they stepped in front of him, took charges, which again, I hate charges so much. They're such fucking bullshit. But if he did that, then like, it's fine. He's a kid. He's doing that. But like the lack of go to his game right now is concerning. Makes me think that either he has an injury or Doc is telling him not to, or putting too many ideas in his head, or whatever it is, because it's just like not the guy that we have seen for most of the season, let alone like since James Harden's been here. They're just not utilizing that. It seems like the first 3 games of the series, and again, like game 3, even though yes, of course they were a missed free throw from Achua away from like losing, or at least going to that was in regulation. So yeah, being forced to do something at the end of regulation. I did think that they were going to win that game the whole time. Like, it felt like they had momentum and juice behind them. The last 2 games, they just have none of that. They just haven't. They have had none of that. And with the idea that you can give Joel a full week off and then several days off, and now Miami's up 3-1, like, to not have juice is inexplicable. And to just like, they're just getting punked out of everything that they want to run, like every single thing. I realized I was looking at the box score and being like, when did Matisse score? He had 2 points in 14 minutes. When did he score?
Nope.
And I remembered that they gave him the bucket off of the tip-in from whether it was Siakam and Achua.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I would like to take those points away, please.
Yeah.
I don't think the National Basketball Association record should have points for Matisse in this game. I don't want anyone thinking like, oh,
team points, like team turnovers.
It should be a team point. Yeah.
It should be a team point.
Call it whatever it is. Call it like fluke points. I don't give a shit. Like, he played horrendous. Like, and that's embarrassing. And I get why Doc had to put him back in at a certain point to at least try and see if he could be playable, because they have so few defensive options. Although I thought Tobias was still pretty good again tonight, and Danny had a couple of nice pokeouts. They just like he needs to be so good defensively to justify how occasionally, like, he's usually pretty bad offensively, but this was like another level of horrendous. And he should feel like remorseful. He should apologize. Like, he should apologize like publicly. And a lot of guys should, but especially him, who made like, the stand that he took. I'm not going to play, and then I'm going to play like shit. That's a nice moral stand of yours. Good job, bud.
That might be the worst game he ever played for the Sixers.
I think it was.
And we really needed Matisse in this game. Like, and the thing that really frustrated me about it was the defense that they played at the end of the first quarter with him and Embiid, and then him and Paul Reed out there. I think like that was the best defense they played all game, and that was the only time that they were consistently getting stops against the Raptors. And they actually looked like the kind of bigger, kind of more bullying team for a while. If you had just made one fucking shot, if you made one free throw on offense and gotten any sort of credible like productivity there on that end of the court, I think we really needed his defense. And the fact that he couldn't be even just slightly incompetent, that he had to be like literally throwing the ball to Scotty Barnes on offense, like that cost us so tremendously. And we also just needed like the energy. We needed those kind of deflection plays. We needed those block jumpers. We needed anything to sort of give the team some momentum in the second quarter.
And they never had it. They
never had it. Like, and when the couple times they did have it,
one run in this game, to not have one run where they're like 8-0, like 10-2 something, like to never have it. I thought the fans would start to storm the court because of how much they wanted to run. I thought someone was just going to jump out of the fucking stands and make some play, anything. I've never seen a crowd want it that bad for a team that was not willing to give it.
When they got it from 13-9, the crowd was acting like it was a 16-0 run,
begging for it.
Yeah.
Shout out to the crowd, though. I mean, like I was worried about this game because they were tense as shit in Game 7 of the Hawks series last year, and I thought that hurt a little bit. They really brought it tonight until it was just totally out of reach. I think towards the end of the fourth. I mean, in both directions they brought it. They booed when appropriate. They cheered at any given opportunity. We got a 4-0 run to end the third, and they were going to tear the roof off of the house. Like it was unbelievable. So you can't lay it on the crowd. You can't lay it on the refs. I don't think you can even lay it on Doc. It was all just the players tonight. It was just a brutal notion.
I wouldn't have minded going to zone a little earlier. I think that could have been used because Embiid just kept getting roasted by Precious, which is embarrassing. Like, and I called out, like, Jokic got taken out for defense at the end of the Nuggets Warriors game, and I was like, MVP shouldn't get taken out for defense. And then in this game, Embiid has maybe the worst defensive game of his life, and that's you don't stop being able to move your feet when your thumb hurts. Like, I get it. Like, I'm sure it's part of it, but like, if you're going to play and make a big show of saying like, no way I'm sitting, like, you have to deliver. And he is not even coming close to delivering. Not even close. Yeah. Like, he's being like, sometimes you're sloppy with the hands. Your hand's not right, whatever it is. That's fine. I get it. But he's being so weak in every area of the game right now. Like, rebounds, loose balls. The Raptors didn't get that many offensive rebounds, but it's because they didn't miss that much. They just weren't deterred, like, at any point. And he is usually the best in the league, I would say. Not the best shot blocker in the league, but I would say he's the best interior defender in the league at deterring easy looks for the other team. And they just walked into them over and over again, repeatedly. And it's disgusting. And the passes were off, and it's just like, it's excuses. Anything he says is excuses. And I'm incredibly frustrated with him. I agreed with your point, and I agree with MOC, like that he is the guy. We need to see him be the guy. But the last two games, like injuries are injuries, whatever. But like, if you're going to play like this, then honestly don't play and just be like, okay, we don't have him. Because right now we don't have him. He's not there.
To your point about zone, and you addressed this, the fact that they had to go to zone against a team that basically can't dribble. Do you know what I mean? Like if Gary Trent's not a ball handler in any meaningful way. That's just,
he can get his own shot occasionally.
He's fine.
But he's not.
Yeah.
He's not certainly not like a preeminent penetrator in the league.
If one team's going to zone here, it shouldn't be the Sixers, given the skill sets of the team. And I was going to say, such a strange game for Embiid in so many ways, because I did think on some level he figured out the hand thing a little bit. Our mutual friend Jason Lipschitz has been very, very, very finger waggy and braggy about this series and how the Sixers are going on a run and so on and so forth. And he said to me that his hope with Embiid was that he just sort of figures out how to deal with the pain and play. Just figure it out. And it sort of felt like at some point he was grabbing the hand less, he was getting deeper position, like offensively, he was just doing this thing where instead of making those passes that he used to be able to make, he would just go back out to the entry pass guy real quick if they doubled him, because they eventually stopped doubling him toward the end of the game because he was getting rid of it right away. And I was ready to make the statement that it felt like he was figuring it out. But to your point about like the energy, which I do think it's the hand, but you can't let it be the hand, which is exactly what you said. If you're going to play, then you got to play. I thought it was not only bad defensively, but it was a strange game because I at a certain point during the game thought he was figuring it out. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I thought there were signs there that he was figuring it out, and he obviously.
Why is he catching the ball so far away from the fucking basket? Why is he catching the ball so far away from the basket and do your work early with your lower body that is not injured, so that you can put less pressure in your hands, so that like slap downs on the drives and them stepping in front and allowing charges and all that shit. Like they are getting beaten physically and mentally in this series right now. And that it just shouldn't be the case. They were gasping for air. This team was gasping for fucking air. They were sucking the life out of them. And too fucking often this team and Doc Rivers, although I don't blame him for this game specifically, Doc Rivers teams, Joel Embiid teams, James Harden teams do not like the death punch. Like it's not a great combo. It's not a great combination. But like guys that are just like not like you put them away. Like just put them away. They're asking to be put away. They want to go home. Everybody's tired. Scotty Barnes is playing on half a foot. Like just get out of there. Just end the series. And they're just like letting them back into it. Now they get a game 6 at home and they get to go home and be like, hey, we have house money right now. We weren't supposed to contend this year anyway. We have momentum. Our guys are hurt. Our pets' heads are falling off. And we're going to beat this fucking team. If I'm a Raptors fan, I'm feeling good. Like I would be absolutely feeling good. So I said it about game 5, but like I need to see some fucking level of fight in game 6. I don't need to be like calmed by anything. I don't need like, hey, we got this. We know what we need to do, whatever. I need to be like, we are embarrassed and we will come out and we're going to fucking rip their heads off. Like it's just anything but that. This series is one thing. There's obviously a very good chance they still win this series, whatever. But like the season and the James Harden acquisition and Joel Embiid's career was bigger than winning like a first round series against a team that's injured. And so like they need to show me that like they're still the team that they look like those first couple games of the series. And like right now that looks like a fucking fluke. Those look like absolute fucking flukes.
Right now, just give me the first round victory against the team that's injured. I'm not looking bigger picture at this point. I'm looking to avoid history by not being the first team in the history of the NBA to blow a fucking 3-0 lead. Like, it's crazy that like I don't want to talk about the championship at this point. I don't want to talk about anything but winning one of the next 2 games. Like, we can't be looking beyond this series at this point. There's nothing beyond this series. There's us winning one of the next 2 games, or there's the worst ignominy of any NBA playoff team ever. Like, yeah, it just black mark stuff that's going to stick to our guys forever. Like, we got to win one of the next 2 games. That's it. Like, we got to win one of them. And it's crazy to think like the last time I was on this pod to co-host it was game 5 last year against the Hawks. So first of all, don't ever have me on for a fucking game 5 again. Maybe just don't have me on, period. Maybe this is like the last time I co-host this podcast for any reason. But that time we had to go and win game 6 in Atlanta
Yeah.
just to have the chance to save our season in Game 7.
Yeah.
That should have felt like a much bigger ask than just winning one of these next 2 games against an injured team as the higher seed, as the team with the best player. And yet I feel like the vibes are even worse. Like I feel like we're battling even more from behind.
I disagree.
We were
with that.
literally
The
from
vibes,
behind the
vibes
series.
were worse
No.
last time. The vibes
were worse last year. The vibes,
I love and appreciate your institutional memory that you bring to this fan base, and I really do. But no, the vibes were worse last year for sure because we were dealing with the whole Simmons thing. And
there was never
just
worse vibes.
Like if the Sixers just lock in and just simply play harder and play downhill, because like Tobias is playing downhill. There are a bunch of baskets at the rim that Tobias played. Like it's crazy that the Sixers have looked this bad for 2 straight games, and I have nothing bad to say about Tobias. He's still not diving for loose balls, but like, you know, whatever. That's who he is. He has made he's staked his reputation on that, and that's fine. But like, if it's just that, then like, I'm fine with it. He's playing well. Like it's not Tobias, and yeah, a couple of really nice maxi plays. That's always cool. But like, I just don't know why there was never. Danny was 4 for 9 from 3. And that honestly felt like the worst 4 for 9 from 3 I've ever seen in my life. Like he was 4 for 9 and it seemed like he missed 80 shots that were wide open that could have like finally got them like within 5 or 6 or something and just like never got there. And it's not on him. Like he's just like, he's going to take shots. He's going to miss, 60% of them most probably. And like, it's not on him to do that. But like, and he played good defense. It's not on Danny either. It's on like the guys that are supposed to be doing it and the bench to bring anything to the table. I mean, like you look at the fucking like Pelicans last night and how many guys on the Pelicans are just playing their fucking ass off. Jose Alvarado, who was available, undrafted free agent. Like Sixers could use like a backup point guard that will like put pressure on the defense and defend his ass off. And like they're like too many guys that they're just not getting. Like too many guys on this bench that are like just a little light, just a little fucking light and not that fast and not that quick and not that in your jersey and just like sometimes they hit shots, but a lot of times they're just like liabilities. And there's when Embiid and Harden and Maxey don't just like have it all clicking and they're like going down your throat and it's wide open threes for the bench that are hitting shots. There's not anything that this team can do to go like, all right, we're not winning that way, so let's win this way. Like they won games in different ways in this series for sure. Games 1, 2, and 3 were all different wins, and I felt positive about it for sure. But like, they're not we're just gonna fucking beat you up team that is like stealing the ball, and the other the fans are like clueless about how to stop them. Like they're just not tough enough. They don't have another way to win outside of like pummeling you with efficiency and getting to the line offensively. They just don't have it, and this is why I wasn't feeling confident going into the series. But the first couple games changed it for me. But now we're back to this place.
I have a James Harden question for both of you, just about not about after the season, about this playoff series, and I would be remiss if we didn't at least bring up what happened with Simmons today, right after a sponsor who requested that we not do a pod tonight. That is Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. Perhaps he will sue us for doing a pod. He is a personal injury lawyer, and Kornblau and Kornblau is the premier boutique personal injury law firm in the Delaware Valley. Perhaps he will consider this personal injury. Most times personal injury is medical malpractice, is injured at work, is car accident, is slip and fall. Kornblau and Kornblau, by the way, some of the biggest medical malpractice results in all of the Delaware Valley. How about this? They got a few offices all around the Delaware Valley. He'll come to you. How about this? You call up the place and you don't get shipped off to another law firm, just a referral service like a lot of personal injury law firms are. And how about this? He's one of us. So many of our listeners have trusted him with not only personal injury, but it seems like most of our listeners use him to get their security deposit back from their landlord, but that's not his main business. His main business is personal injury. He's the dude. He's going to lead you through it. As somebody who's been through a personal injury lawsuit, it fucking sucks. You want somebody who you can really trust. 215-576-7200 is the phone number. Call and ask for Adam, or email kornblau@kornblauandkornblau.com. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. Okay, for both of you, I will ask AU first and then Mike. Harden question. You get James Harden in a room. You put a truth serum in him. Harden's not, or Embiid's not in the room, Doc Rivers is not in the room, and say, hey man, you have two choices. You can win the series and you have to play a whole other series against Miami, or you can just go on vacation. What do you think James Harden would rather do? Truth serum.
Does it matter that the next series will have 2 to 3 games in Miami?
It's not a bad point. It doesn't.
I don't. Whatever. I'm not getting on James Harden's big picture will to win, drive to succeed, all that nonsense. Maybe it's a thing.
Mike shaking your head like will to win, like caring doesn't matter. It's the difference between being a champion and not being a champion. A lot of times for the best players,
they're not playing hard enough. But I think he wants to win. Like, of course he wants to win. I would choose winning. There's plenty of. He's got the rest of his life to go on vacation.
I think there's problems with his game that often look like lack of effort, and maybe they are a lack of effort to a certain extent. But I think it's more just him being a really, really weird player and him having things he likes to do and things he doesn't like to do that translate really poorly in games like this. I mean, can we talk about the catch and shoot 3 thing and how this continues to haunt this franchise? Like, it's absurd that we finally have a guy that once averaged 34, 35 points a game, and he still won't take open catch and shoot threes. And the 1 3 that he made in this game was off one of the, or at least the first 3 he made in this game was like off one of those little kind of sidestep maneuvers where he didn't even really have to do that, but that was the only way he feels comfortable or to get in a shooting pocket to make the shot harder than it has to be. That's one of the things that really killed the team in this game, that he just missed all these momentum catch and shoot threes that he clearly wasn't comfortable taking. That he clearly would have rather swung the ball, but there's nobody to swing the ball to sometimes. And then when he finally hit that one shot, I was almost angry at him. I was like, come on, man, this doesn't have to be that hard. Hit a fucking catch and shoot 3. Be the first Sixer in history to hit a catch and shoot 3 that can also do other things. But we only have unitaskers that can hit catch and shoot 3s, and the other guys all just fucking hate shooting them. Just would rather do anything else on a basketball court than shoot a wide open catch and shoot 3.
Which is what makes Danny Green, who for some reason everything that he does is either a momentum like razor or killer. Those are the only modes he has. He doesn't just hit or miss a shot. Either it is the wave that begins or the wave that ends is what makes him so important, because he will just pull that trigger and Harden won't. Anything else on this game?
I mean, they just got to play. Like, look, they got
to win game 6.
Even if they were just like playing not as hard, if they played with the exact same amount of intensity and like not getting loose balls and offensive rebounds or whatever it is, like there's just like simple shit that they're missing. Like they're just like simple shit, like balls falling out of their hands and like missing layups and missing like wide open shit and like not, and the guy's open, he's not passing to him and it like falls out. Like there's simple stuff that they can clean up and just like give themselves a chance, even if they're still not like, they're never going to play more intense than the Raptors. They're never going to be flying around the court like the Raptors. They just don't have the personnel to do that. And that's on Daryl to like assemble this team and assemble Joel with more guys like that can like create havoc and be more athletic and not get just like pestered into playing on their heels so much. But if they just tighten up a couple things, like they have a shot. That includes Bilal Paul, who didn't play well. Matisse played like shit. Shake didn't do really anything at all. You know, Niang looks not only like, I was very optimistic about his defense in the regular season, and now he looks like not confident in his defense even. And so much of his game is like confidence. And yeah,
and he's slow.
It's a bad right now. Like the last 2 games have been like the Raptors are getting to what they want to do, but the Sixers are just like playing like a bad team. Like not like, competing at playoff level intensity, but like this is fucking like December shit. Like what are they doing? Like this is the playoffs. Yeah. You got to play hard. You can't play like the worst version of your regular season self. Like it's really pretty disgusting that like they have to be like begged to like compete in like a playoff level intensity when it's like we don't know what's going to happen this offseason. Like we don't know if Harden's going to be here. We don't. I mean, AU's right. Like they just got to win the series. We can't like look forward in it. But like they got to be winning multiple series. Like,
yes,
we don't know how long this shit lasts. We don't know how long like health is going to be permitted. And if they don't feel like the pressure of that, if Doc doesn't feel the pressure of that, like the only guy playing like they know that their shit is on the line is Tobias. because it is, and he's delivering, but like he can't have like a bigger role. Like that everybody else has to perform, and they're just fucking not.
Now, I do want to say something quick in defense of Tyrese here, because he is the person I think in this team hurt the most by the Raptors kind of playing the supersized lineup and not having a Fred VanVleet on the court for him to A, kind of abuse on defense, we can blow by him, and B, to sort of hide him on the other end. Like, he is playing amongst the trees all the time now, and there's just not a lot he can. I mean, he doesn't have necessarily that kind of like one-on-one Kobe like pull up for a contested 17-footer game yet. That's just not in his bag 2 years into his professional career, nor should be. He isn't getting open threes. He isn't getting passed to the basket. He can occasionally beat his man, but he has a very, very small window when he does, and those guys close quickly. There's just not a lot for him to do right now when he's going up against these lineups, and it shouldn't necessarily be on him as the ostensive third options team, then the youngest guy out there for either squad. Like, it shouldn't be on him to figure that out for the first time in his career. It's got to be the other guys setting the tone and him kind of playing off that. So I do kind of want to give him a pass for how bad this game was for him and how tough the series has kind of turned the last 2 games for him. It's an adjustment that I'm not sure he's going to be able to make, like not in time to save the series.
I'll disagree. I agree and disagree. I agree that he shouldn't be up to it. Like, it's not surprising that he's not up to it. It doesn't say anything about him and his future. And the 28-year-old players win championships, not 21-year-old players, like, for sure. But everybody being too tall is not an excuse. Like, if everybody's tall, then if you're the fast guy, then you have to go by him and create some havoc. And there's just been too many times where he's had an opportunity to do that and he hasn't. So I think it's like yes and no. This doesn't come down to Tyrese Maxey. It would be nice if he continued to explode, but this series comes down to Harden and Embiid, I think, without question. But
Harden keeps doing that thing where he hunts mismatches but they're just not there anymore.
Wait,
like, he'll try to get the switch on Thaddeus Young, and then, like, what are you trying to do? Go by Thaddeus Young or Scotty Barnes? It's like,
I texted MOC that there was one possession where every single Raptor got switched on to Harden and they all stopped him. Every single one of them.
Bad fucking process, man.
Before we go, so the rumor was from Shams and Woj that, and then even Ben, who talked about his IQ and his floor generalness, that Ben Simmons was going to play in Game 4, which was insane anyway, given the fact that he had not played 5-on-5 with the Brooklyn Nets. He had never run 5-on-5 with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and they were talking about him playing in the playoffs. So then it comes out today, Adrian Wojnarowski reports that he woke up with back soreness. He wasn't going to be able to play. Followed up with a report later in the day that he and Rich Paul met with the Brooklyn Nets and talked about his path forward, given both his physical and mental hurdles. And when it was announced that he was out of Game 4, there was no holds barred for everybody. Everybody obliterated him. Stephen A. Smith obliterated him. Reggie Miller, like everybody. Everything I saw. Jalen Rose, everything. I just thought it was odd that, and I hold no sympathy for Ben Simmons, really. But I thought it was odd that at the point where I believe that it became most obvious that he does have something mental to get over, like that he is in a bad place, that was the moment that everyone decided, like, fuck him, I think he is in a really bad place right now. Like, a really bad place. The guy who shows up at the game dressed like he was dressed, not playing, like, with your teammates, acting like nothing is wrong, is either completely oblivious or hiding from something. And I just don't think he's oblivious. And I actually, like, I'm done. Like, I feel like something, like, this guy is in a bad space and does not have the people around him to tell him of what he's got to do to get out of it, and he doesn't seem like the kind of person to do it. I don't know, like, it hit me today or yesterday whenever it was announced that he wasn't playing, like, oh man, this is like bad, So that was my reaction when I saw it. I just because he was saying, I'm going to play. And I think in his head, he thought, oh, I can talk myself into this. And then the reality of doing it actually hit him. I just kind of sad. It's fucked up, but kind of sad.
Yes. Like that's been the case all season in my mind. That's been the case forever. He didn't play for a full year now. And he won't have played for a full year and a half when next season starts, and who knows. Mm-hmm. But because he's just dealing with whatever he's dealing with, and he was blaming other people for it. The really strange thing was the media blitz of it's happening. He's after game 2, it was he's targeting game 3 or 4. He's going to play in game 4. That was the thing that was what? Who is allowing this? Who is pushing this? What is happening? Steve Nash is talking to the press being he's never played with us. I never expected him to play. It's all just very bizarre that anyone would choose to do this. And I get I understand why if you're a Nets fan or whatever, you'd be hey, I want him to play for just a little bit just to see what we have and to maybe defend Tatum for 10 minutes or something like that. But it was all just incredibly mishandled as it has been since Game 7 of the Hawks series. Mm-hmm. Whatever is going on, him and the people that work for him are just bungling everything. And yeah, I feel bad. I feel for sure I feel bad on some level, but you don't have to be doing the things that you're choosing to do. You could just be he doesn't have to be there. He doesn't have to be showing up, doing the quotes, telling Shams he's gonna play. It's just all of it is incredibly weird. And if anyone was surprised by that, Shams being which is a surprise considering I'm on the company payroll and this is what I'm paid to type. What are we doing? Come on, man. It's all very strange. The whole thing is fucking weird.
You just wish that there was some capability on not necessarily even his side, but on his team side to be even the slightest bit transparent about what's really going on here. And I understand how tough that would be. And when they pull it out, and when they talk about mental health, it always seems it's as an absolute last resort to just kind of cover their bases. It never feels honest, even though that's very clearly what's going on here to a certain extent. And I really think obviously Simmons is a grown man. He's a multimillionaire, 20-something. He should be able to kind of step up to the plate and be real with people. But to me, it's more on the people that are around him to say, to kind of get in front of this and put themselves in front of him and say what needs to be said on his behalf and not keep digging his grave deeper and deeper like this to the point where it feels like they think if they keep digging with it, they're going to hit the other side at some point. It's not going to happen. And at a certain point, you got to just kind of stop. You got to stop trying to put up this front that's going to kind of get yourself hyped up to be the person that you're not. You got to get to the root cause at a certain point. And I think what his team is doing is absolutely atrocious. And considering this is one of the most powerful agencies in all of basketball, I can't imagine how they're not just jumping ship at this point. It's got to reflect badly on them that they have this 20-something multi-millionaire athlete star, or at least potential star, and they're just making him look like the biggest asshole on the planet. And it's partly his fault, but it's not entirely his fault. Someone's got to be the adult here.
You know what? I think there is a possibility that they're not with him at the end of this year. And two things. First of all, the thing to remember always is that the agent works for the player. And that's why giving them the hard lesson takes there are good agents, in every field, in entertainment, in sports. There are agents who will tell you the hard stuff and help you grow and those sorts of things and get you work and then there's just the ones that are there to along for the ride and collect the check. My guess is at some point, Rich Paul and Clutch were I don't know what's fucking going on. Whatever you want. But to your point about him being a grown man, he's fucking, and I'm not making excuses for Ben Simmons. This is not me. But he is 25 in a fucked up, every time he tries to get out of the hole, he digs himself another foot deeper. And everyone who is around him, to your point, who should be offering him a hand to help him out, has a hand in his pocket, right? He has surrounded people who have been drifting off of his success whether it be his agent or friends or family or whoever's around him. And then eventually when he needs the help, they should be there. But they've been so busy telling him like, nah, you don't need to shoot or you don't need to practice this. And they're fucking crazy. And you're the real guy they should build around and blah, 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 blah. And then when they need him, he's not there. 25 is pretty young.
We just don't know enough to know. And that's like on some level fine. Like he doesn't have to like open up his diary to everybody. I'm hesitant to like blame specific individuals versus him or whatever. All we can do is like look at like take a step back. He didn't show up. His teammates wanted him to play. He said, "Don't even come out and like try to convince me." He never showed up. He tried to force a trade. He tried to force a trade by demanding the money that he, I guess, thought he deserved despite not doing the job in any way. And then he gets traded to a team. He does all the media press. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's excited about like, this is going to be it. And like, he still doesn't play. And then he comes out and says, okay, I'm playing game 4. And then he still doesn't play. It's just like whatever is going on. And obviously there's plenty of things going on and plenty of people at fault. You can just look at that and be like, this was like wildly mishandled. And you can feel empathy for him, which I do. And also like intense frustration with how it was all handled and what their like plan is for a year now, like at the same time. And I feel that way. And I think a lot of people do. It's the right way to feel. I don't think you need to like excoriate him and say what, he's the, come up with various ailments that it could be and like hypothesize about all this shit. But like, you can just be like, well, nothing has gone well. Whatever the plan has been was atrocious. And I hope that he plays next year and plays regular basketball and is a regular, but like, who knows? We have no idea whether it's on him or the people around him or the Nets or his agency or whatever the fuck. Like no one has like done a good job.
A couple of months ago, I brought up this guy, Steve, who mentioned to me in November, he was like, what do you think the chances are that he never plays again? He was like, what is it, 5%? And I was like, 5%? I was like, 0.0005. And over the last month and a half, I've inched it up. And now for me, I was like, oh, this is crazy. It's like 2 or 3% for me. And everyone I've talked to, like, it's higher for them. This is a real thing now that he never plays again, I think. Not that I think it's likely, but I think it's certainly on the table. What a fucking turn of events.
Who the fuck knows, man?
That'll teach him for being a Sixer. Okay.
Anyone who's a Sixer should be just on some sort of watch list to make sure they're going to be okay, including us.
Well, Game 6 is on the night 1 of the NFL draft, so it should be interesting. We got to figure that one out.
That I was looking forward to, so I can watch this fucking team again.
Can I offer like one very slightly potentially positive way to look at the rest of the series?
I dare you. I fucking dare you to be positive right now.
You fucking asshole.
So do you remember there was a game we played against Toronto? I think it was during the COVID season. I don't remember if it was before or after, but it was like a game that the Sixers had won comfortably. They were up maybe 12 with like 90 seconds to go. And then the Raptors just kept pressing full court and cut the lead to like 6 with 40 seconds to go and like actually made us really close out that game that we should have just been kind of, we should have been checking in the third stringers by that point.
No. Do you remember that game?
Yeah. And they played other games spiritually that were along the same lines of that. That like, we won. We won pretty decisively, but we had to fucking work for it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this is the series equivalent of that game. And that just, we won in 6. Nobody feels good about it. Nobody wants to talk about the series ever again. It wasn't fun. It was miserable. We knew it was going to be miserable going in. We didn't think it was going to be miserable in this particular fashion, but we knew that they were going to make us hate ourselves by the end of it. But we won game 6. And that's all that fucking matters.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a possibility.
That's fair. It's so the gymnastics that they've done to go from we went up 3-0 on a Joel Embiid buzzer beater to where they are right now. Even if I still think, if if I separate it from my own emotions, which I obviously can't do, they're still likely to win Game 6. Like Vegas wise, I think they'll probably be favored by like 2.5 or something like that.
Hold on.
But like,
That's a very interesting question.
Let me see. The DraftKings line on Game 6 is...
To me, it's like
Sixers
so
minus
hard.
1.5.
1.5, yeah.
Fair.
So like, it's so hard to do that. It's so hard to do that. And they've managed to find a way because, as I tweeted before the Sixers playoff season started, like, this is just a miserable experience, and I hope it goes for a long time. I hope I'm just fucking miserable for the next 2 months for these losers making me watch them. Do a podcast every 2 days.
Yeah.
Fucking
Game
bare
7.
my stupid ass soul.
If
for
they
this
had just
shit.
won Game
What's the
4,
point?
we would have had a week off. We would have had a week off.
And Game 7, if it does happen, it's when I am on vacation in Disney World with my girlfriend and her sister, who's turning 40 the night of Game 7. That's her birthday dinner night. And I might have to be the biggest asshole in the world and skip out on that birthday dinner, watch my home team go down in flames in unprecedentedly historic fashion.
Bro, it's my
and
wife's
ruin my
birthday.
entire vacation, and I don't even know what.
It's
That's
my
pretty
wife's
good. There's
birthday. I can't do it.
You win. You win.
There's precedent. I watched the UNC win over Duke and won some money in this pool at downtown Disney after going for Alyssa's mom's birthday. And I was like, the game was on, and I was like, watching it in line and taking it on in line, and then we were like, okay, it's time to go. And then it was like, I was like, do you guys, I might just check out a bar down the street a little bit, and like post it up and just like watch it there. And so that was a nice win. So I'm hoping that if it has to go to 7, which it fucking shouldn't, that you can go to a downtown Disney situation and bring home a W for me.
Okay, before we do the farewell thing, I do this at the end of the pod now, not in the middle of the pod. For Mortgage CS, that advertisement was not a
Here's
commitment.
the optimism.
That advertisement was not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker and arranges loans with third-party providers and does not make any mortgage loan commitments or fund any mortgage loans. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. The information is presented for informational purposes by Rates for Us LLC, DBA Mortgage CS Company, NMLS 1464766, licensed by the PA Department of Banking and New Jersey Department of Banking and Insurance. Visit MortgageCS.com for more information. Ben Stucker, NMLS ID number 168345. Are you down with TTP?
I don't thank the PA Department of Banking enough. I'm realizing this now. I should consider them more often. Yeah, fucking whatever.